red wire nut. I'm using a red wire nut because of the fact that it's a triple wire. You always use red in that instance. Yellow is for 2 wires. Orange is for 1 wire plus like a light wire, which you guys will never experience. Push that down in there. Okay, I'm now left with 3 blacks. What do I do?
You connect the hot from the power source and the receptacle, pigtail it and stick it on 1 screw on the switch.
Okay. The black coming in from the power outlet, which is this wire sticking out here by itself, and the receptacle are going to be tied together in pigtail. Because you want, this is hot, you have to carry it through to your receptacle, otherwise it won't work. So you have to carry the hot through here all the time. So you're going to connect these 2 wires together, and one side of your switch always has to be hot. So you have to have a pigtail. Everybody understand that? Okay? So let's make it up. Need a black. Take it, bend it half over when you're doing a pigtail, just like so. Take your lineman, lay it on it, begin to twist. Everybody gets out of practice. That's why you guys need to spend a lot of time practicing, because I did this for years and I still have a tendency to mess up when I twist them. Okay, now what do I do?
You attach it to the, doesn't matter what end though.
Okay, so now all I've got to do is connect my light switch, right? Okay, cut them off the same length, about 6 inches. Strip. Just like that. You're going to take your needle nose, bend them over once again.
Now, I know that you're not supposed to have like a certain amount of copper on the plastic, but does it matter on the ground wire?
Nope.
Alright.
Just needs to be clean. Okay, before you start, and before they start timing you, make sure your screws are all out so that you're not wasting valuable time moving the screws back out after you get started, which I did not do, so be aware of that situation. Okay, once again, we've got them pulled through. Get them pulled through tightly, clamp down on them. Come on, there you go. Okay. That is number 2 completed.
1250.
Okay, now let's go through the grading process.
1250.
In the grading process, and it is within the time, we're assuming 15 minutes or so. If you look at the bottom side of this light here, you notice that there isn't anything necessarily touching. There's a little bit of insulation, but not enough to take points off. The black is on the gold. On this one here, the neutral's on the silver, but you notice how there is more insulation touching the metal plate there, so you're going to have a point taken off there. The ground's pushed down. Now, if there was a ground clamp located within the box, you would have to make sure to attach it to the side of that ground clamp, which is attached to the side of the box, or there could be a green screw in the bottom of the box. You'd have to wrap your ground around that green screw. Now, do not wrap the end of the ground around the ground screw. You actually wrap it about down here towards the base, and then you still have wire sticking off from it, okay? Doesn't go on the end. On the receptacle here, you have the hot wire over here. Once again, I'd mark a point off. That's a little sloppy, has a tendency to wrap around. This side here, very sloppy. Notice the neutral wraps all the way around the end of the screw. It's supposed to be off the bottom side. Definitely a point off. Nothing wrong with the ground. Continued on, you look at the wires as they're run through there. You have your wire going to the light. You have your wire going to the receptacle. You have your outlet wire or your power line that's sticking off the back side. Most complicated box of all. You have a black hooked on here, and you have the ground on that side. Inside of this box, you should see the neutral is tied together, spun together like that because a light switch does not need a neutral. And then you also will see that two of your black wires are tied together. The black wire that is running towards your receptacle and the black wire that's coming in on your power are going to be tied together, pigtailed, attached to your light switch, so that the light switch, the receptacle, and obviously the power coming in are all hot all the time. Okay, any questions? Okay, the next one that we're going to do is wiring exercise number 3. It requires the same things, a receptacle, a switch, as well as a light. The thing that gets a little bit more confusing about this is actually in the fact that you have to run your switch wire directly from the light box. Okay, when dealing with electrical contest number 3, this is where you have to begin to understand electricity. The reason I mean you have to kind of understand electricity is because now you're dealing with something totally different. It's not streamlined like we've been doing. In the past, we've run our wire from the switch box, which is located in this particular drawing right here. We have a receptacle way up in this corner and our light here. The major difference this time is your power comes in right here. It comes in at the light box itself. So you're not doing your makeup inside your switch box like you were before. You're not doing the makeup inside a receptacle box and then running a wire to the light box and then back, or to the switch box and back to here. This calls for, and this kind of a setup, anytime you have power coming into the light, use as few wires as possible. We'll run a wire power in here, wire to here, wire to here. That's the fewest wires possible. Okay, let me try to explain to you how to do this as we go. Okay, need to get my wire, cut my first one off, which is going to be my power in. Take knife once again, go ahead and pre-strip. That's too much.
Do you have techniques for safe cutting?
Yeah, keep the knife away from your hand.
Here, hold it on here and
helps.
go.
That did not help me at all.
Okay.
That's what I do is just go.
Now, when you got a big hole like this, it's a pain in the rear to try to stop the wire from getting away from you. You just have to manage the best you can to try to make that work. Got to remember, when you're doing this in practical application, all this is tight. You run this through a Romex connector, your wires are all stapled, so it makes it a lot easier to do makeups, and they're a lot tighter when you're dealing with them inside the box. You don't get that privilege when dealing with it at the contest. Once again, what they care about is concept. Do you understand the concepts? If you're in a real world setting, can you wire it? Okay, now that always is rough when that happens. Every once in a while you're pulling that wire off on a short piece of wire, you can literally pull the ground all the way through the sheet. Don't worry about it, just keep going.